Hey guys, I'm with Colette Lewis, who is coming at us live from the US Open. Colette, so good to see you.
Yeah, great to be here.
So you're on the grounds this year. US Open Juniors is well underway. There have been a couple weather delays today, so I get to grab you for a few minutes and catch up and hear what's going on in the tournament. What are you seeing? Who's the player to watch this year, and what are the looming upsets coming in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I actually don't know what's going to happen here. It's been very interesting, though. I do think it's been fun just to see kids back here playing on the grounds. I mean, it's been 2 whole years since there's been any junior tennis here. So I know they had it last year. The pros were here, even though the crowds weren't. But now we're back to a semblance of normal. So I think everybody is just really happy about that, and it's been fun to watch, especially the kids from the United States really enjoy their home slam.
Of course. And you and I both covered national hard court 16s and 18s. You were with the boys, I was with the girls. A lot of familiar names in the draw this week at the US Open Juniors. And in the adult US Open, we had, the winners as wild cards and qualies. And have you gotten to talk to any of the kids about those experiences?
It's been really difficult. Everything has been done via Zoom. And it's been a challenge. It's actually been a little bit easier to do it from home than it has been from here. Really? Just because of the way that you have to do it at your desk in the media center. So you're always worried about interrupting others who are working. There aren't many of us here, but there are some, and so it's been a challenge. I've talked to several players, of course, but haven't really gotten a chance to have any of those conversations where you kind of develop a rapport and you can go on off tangent or whatever. That's just not happening under the current situation.
Yeah, it's a little awkward on Zoom. I sat in on a few of the interviews early on in the tournament and realized that I wasn't going to be able to get the kind of information that I was seeking. You're covering the tournament from a very different angle, obviously, as you always do, really diving deep into results and matchups, head-to-heads and things like that. And, I love always hearing the stories of how the matches went from the players' perspectives. You're so good at getting them to talk about that. What are some of the surprising tidbits that you've heard from the players that you had a chance to talk to this week?
Well, I'll kind of tease a story that I'm going to work on once this is all over with, and that's their impressions of not having line umpires at all. This is their first experience with that because, of course, Wimbledon had line umpires. The French never has the automatic system, so of course there were line umpires there as well. This is the first time that they've had any experience with computers calling all the lines. So that's been fun. I've asked a few of them. I hope to ask a few more. Just their impressions of it. So far, it's been favorable. I'm hoping to find somebody who said, "Oh no, that computer got that one totally wrong." But so far, I haven't found anybody like that.
So is the electronic line calling eliminating any on-court disputes? I mean, the kids just kind of accept the call and move forward?
Yes, there's no appeal. The umpires have no choice. So there's nothing to talk about. So yes, right. It really tones down the tenor of a match for sure.
Are you noticing just from like watching the coaches or anybody else that's there with the players that it seems to be calmer with the electronic line calling?
Yeah,
are people just able to kind of chill out and enjoy the match and not worry?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I would never have really thought that was the case. I would never even have thought about it, but it does seem to be everybody knows that that's the decision, period, end of story. So you just move on or you stay mad, and most of them are just learning that there's no point in staying mad. It's not going to change anything.
Right. What are you hearing from the kids about the run of these teenagers in the main draw this week or over
Yeah,
the last 10
nothing,
days?
nothing.
They're
I just
not
haven't.
comment.
I
Yeah.
haven't. Nobody, has, I have very limited time and very limited questions. So no, that's not something that's been on the radar.
Yeah.
So
Which is
yeah,
kind of crazy because it's a really cool thing to watch this year. It's the first time in a long time
yeah,
we've had 3 teenagers make it so far in the draw. And, 2 of them, I guess, could be playing juniors this week, right? Or are they turning 19 this year?
yeah. Well, I'm not sure you mean Fernandez turned 19 during the tournament,
No,
and
I knew she did, and then Raducanu
yeah,
and
she'll be 19 in October or November, I think.
okay,
And who's the other?
Alcaraz.
Okay, yes, he could be. You were
Yeah,
right
yeah,
about him.
yeah.
And
I mean, it's
no, and you forgot Coco. She could still be playing the junior.
oh my gosh, of course, of course. Who could have played national hard courts
Right,
too?
for that wild
Yeah,
card that she didn't need because she was
yeah,
already seated here.
yeah, of course. Have you gotten a chance to watch a lot of the adult tournament, or has your focus been 100% on the junior matches? I know
Uh,
there have been so many matches.
yeah, that's true, and very difficult just because you're always waiting to talk to somebody or trying to get somebody to talk or whatever. So or
Yeah,
writing. Now that I have this new ITF job, that's kind of changed the way I do things as well. I haven't been able to watch as much as I wanted to, but of course at night when the juniors are done, it's been awesome to be able to watch it on TV at the hotel. And I enjoyed the first set of Brooksby and Djokovic just like
oh
everybody
my
else
gosh,
did. So
yeah.
that was kind of fun to talk about with the college coaches that were still around here the following day. So yeah, it was great. I had kind of asked some of them how they felt he would do prior to that night, and most of them were not expecting him to win a set. So, and I don't think anybody thought it would be quite as entertaining a match as it turned out to be. So that was really kind of a fun thing. And then today I got to watch the men's doubles semifinal. So that was another, as I said on Twitter, just a silver lining to a very trying day that this is going to be. So yeah, I don't watch as much pros as I would like to, but again, I'm a TV viewer just like everybody else.
You mentioned 2 things that I want to jump into. One is your role writing for the ITF during the tournament. And I, for one, have really enjoyed your updates and love that. How did that role come about? And what is kind of unique about that role versus what you're doing on ZooTennis or what you may be providing for tennisrecruiting.net later on?
Yeah, I heard from the ITF while I was in College Park. So that was just less than 2 weeks before the tournament started. They asked me if I would be interested. I hadn't even learned until like a week before that I would be here. And I do think that is important to them to have someone who's actually on site doing the coverage. But, so I took the job. With some reservations because, as you point out, it is different from what I do at ZooTennis. My focus, 90% of my focus is on American juniors. And obviously the ITF is interested in that because this is the slam of the USA and that sort of thing. But they want all sorts of stories from everyone. So
Sure.
that's been different for me, and it's kept me from talking to as many U.S. juniors as I normally would during this tournament. And it's also probably just the whole way the interview process has been going via Zoom. It's in years past, you could just jump in and into as you know, in those little booths, they would say a name and you would say, oh, I'd like to talk to so-and-so. And you would just go up there and ask a question or two and then learn something and then, come back out. But that's not the way it's working now. So that's definitely, been different. So, but, it's always good to kind of change your perspective and see what other people that have done that job, what they're facing. Unfortunately, nobody from the ITF is here at all. So I have no help. Nobody really advocating for me. So I'm having to do that myself. But anyway, it's been an interesting experience. And as I said, it's given me a perspective that I didn't have just because of my focus on U.S. juniors throughout my whole career. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you and I talked about offline, I mean, there really aren't very many people there covering the junior event at all. And the fact that you're on the ground and able to do that is just awesome for all of us that are interested and fans of the juniors and, watching for the next gen of professional players from the U.S. and around the world. So thank you for all that hard work.
Well, you're welcome. I still enjoy it, even with the unique challenges of this year.
You mentioned the college coaches on site. Are they still around? Who are you seeing?
I'm sure they looked at the forecast and made their exit yesterday because it was never looking good for today. But there were still a few around yesterday, and I would say on Tuesday, the bulk of them were still here. There's a couple of players that haven't signed, Ethan Quinn being, I guess, probably the top prospect. And he and Nick Godsick were playing a doubles match 2 days ago, their second round match, I believe. And wow, that was crazy. No, that was their first round match. And I saw I think every top 20 coach was at that match. Yeah. So that was, it's nice to see them back doing that because again, it's been so long for them. Yeah. And they seem to be happy to be out and communicating with each other and hanging out and talking and competing against each other for these top American juniors.
Yeah, absolutely. How are the numbers in terms of the coaches compared to years past? Is it the same, or are there fewer coaches here this year?
There might be a minor drop. There were a lot more at College Park because there were no restrictions there. Here, they had to pay to get in if they or have some sort of a player or have a connection to get in. In years past, they always got credentials for the first few days that they could just walk around the grounds, but those were discontinued this year. So a lot of them.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, no, there were no credentials for college coaches. So most of them bought tickets. So, that was different for them. But they have, let's be honest, they have it in their recruiting budget. If they want to pay, $50 or $100 for a ticket, that's not really a problem. So if they had a player that was in the draw, which there were probably a dozen that did, or somebody that they were very interested in, then, they made the trip for sure.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any talk about the name, image, likeness stuff happening? I know you and I both have done Alex Gruskin's podcast to talk about that, and just curious what you're hearing on the grounds there.
I have not heard anything about that.
Really?
I did talk to a reporter that might be interested in pursuing that, the college, how that will change college tennis. But that's the only, I have not heard anything about it from any of the college coaches while I've been here.
Interesting. One of the things that you tweeted out was a conversation that you had just on the grounds with Mark Lucero, and I responded and said that, that's one of the things I really miss about being there in person is those impromptu conversations, just running into people on the grounds and being able to pick their brains and, talk about what's coming in tennis from the junior side, the college side, whatever. Have there been others that you've had the opportunity to chat with that maybe you haven't seen in the last couple of years because of COVID?
Oh yeah, that's the reason to come. I mean, they're like I said, you can do the interviews a lot more privately in your own home than you can do them here with this current setup. And there's the chance to just be able to talk to parents and coaches and people that are here on the grounds. It is really, the agents. I talked to a couple of agents, had a really interesting conversation about a girl in Australia that they have this company assigned, and it's like just how limited she is, how little she can do. She can't play outside of the country without 4 weeks of quarantine, this and that. And it's just crazy stuff. And so you do get a chance to hear those kind of stories and just talk with people about what kinds of things that they have seen their players, whether they're international players or local players, how they've gotten through the last year and a half, especially outside the United States, where they really have, some of them have had very limited opportunities. So that was an interesting conversation I would have never had if I hadn't been here. And there's always going to be things like that you're just going to hear and see and learn about. So I don't in any sense regret being here. I think it's great. It's just the challenges have been commensurate. Commensurate with what's happened in the whole country and the whole world in the last year and a half.
Sure. Last question. Mental health has been all over the news with sports recently, and now the latest is the Marty Fish documentary on Netflix, which I had the opportunity to watch yesterday. Wondering if you're hearing any conversations in the junior realms about mental health and if the kids are even thinking about it, talking about it, or if anything's being done in that realm in the junior tennis world.
Not that I've seen. I know that the USTA has, their mental coaches, whether those are more, I'm not sure that they're definitely mental health and more as just mindset play when you're playing tennis and that kind of thing. It's probably the focus is a little bit different, but the USTA has always had people that specialize in that aspect of the game, and so I would be surprised if they're not addressing that, because I do think that they have people who are aware of it, and I think we've all gotten a little more sensitive to the issue lately. So, but I have not heard anything specific from juniors or from any coaches that's something that's happening right now.
Gotcha. Well, Colette, I'll let you get back to it. I know you've got a crazy day with this weather, and hopefully there's going to be some tennis played at some point.
Exactly. So, I appreciate talking with you.
You too. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And to all of you out there, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.